Today I'm going to be introducing you to one of my husband's favorite dishes. I'm going to call it Lazy Hawaiian Dinner. It's a really quick meal that takes about 30 minutes for me to whip up, depending on how long the rice decides to cook, and I hope you enjoy it. I'm starting off with this Lazy Hawaiian Dinner because it is my absolute favorite. I can eat it probably once a week, and the ingredients are really simple. Since it was only my husband and I have only 2 chicken thighs, which are a staple in my deep freezer. Some short grain rice. Now, I know not everyone may not have that in your pantry, so regular long grain rice is just fine. An onion, coconut oil, pineapple. Yes, I have used canned pineapple before and it tastes just as good. And last, our favorite seasoning, Uncle Chris's steak seasoning. Now I'm going to be breaking down my pineapple by cutting off the top of it so that I can use my pineapple core, which makes it so much easier to break down, and it even creates those pretty pineapple spirals that you see in the canned version. After I get the core kind of centered around the top, then I'm just going to be twisting it until I just can't twist it anymore. If you've ever used a pineapple core, then you kind of know what I'm talking about. If you haven't, it's like you're just twisting a screw and then the screw just doesn't go anywhere anymore. That's exactly how it is. Then I'm going to just be pulling it out, and there you see those pretty pineapple swirls. Now there is a little bit of juice left over, and I actually asked my husband for a shot glass so that I could drink it later and didn't waste any. Now that I'm done collecting the juice, I'm just going to be setting this aside. I'm not going to be really using it for anything, and I'm just going to remove the rest of the pineapple from the pineapple core. It's really simple, just have to remove the handle and then the slices just slide off. What I'm also going to do is go ahead and give it a rough chop by just cutting it in half and then cutting it into chunks like you find in the canned chunk pineapple. I don't really mind not having it in the pretty rings because since I'm not grilling this, I'm just using it on the stove top. I don't have to have it in those pretty rings. And this actually makes it easier to eat because everything is already in the bite-sized pieces. And once I'm done with that, I'm just going to set aside the pineapple for later. I'll be putting it in a pan with the onions after I finish chopping those up and sauteing them. For the onion, I'm going to chop it in half, and then I'm going to cut off the top part, not the side with the little furry bit, because that's actually what holds it all together whenever you're chopping or slicing. And then I'm going to remove the top layer of the onion skin before I start chopping. To dice my onion, I'm going to slice it towards that little furry bit at the end without going all the way through so that the onion still maintains its shape. And then I'm going to flip it the other way and then just cut all the way until the end and toss that bit away. I'm going to season the chicken thighs pretty liberally on both sides using the Uncle Chris's seasoning. This has a good amount of salt and pepper in it, so you don't really need to add any of that, but again, that's up to your taste. After I do the back side, then I'm just going to set it aside so that I can start on the rice. I use a rice cooker to cook my rice because if I'm honest, I just don't want to be minding a pot to make sure that the rice is done, and this gets it pretty perfect every time. I go by the measurements on the bag of rice because I still have no clue how to do that little finger knuckle trick with measuring the rice between the water. I just don't get it. So for here, I'm just measuring out 1.5 cups of rice like the bag says. Now I do rinse my rice. I just forgot to get a shot of it, but I'll usually rinse it between 3 to 5 times, or at least until the water isn't that murky. And then I'm going to add 2 cups of water, just like the instructions say. And then for my rice cooker, the setting that I want to use is the sushi setting. And I'll just press menu until I get to that light above sushi and then set it to cook. To cook the chicken, I'm going to add a little bit of the coconut oil to the pan. This is just to help the chicken thigh skin get nice and crispy and brown. Now, the chicken thighs will start to produce their own fat to render in, but I like the flavor of the coconut oil, and it just really helps to speed up the process a bit. I'm adding in the chicken skin side down to the pan, and after I put it in there, I'm just going to set the temperature and forget about it and let it do its thing. But once the skin is crispy and I can see the chicken kind of turning white a bit on the sides like it is here, then I'll turn it over. And sometimes I'll finish it in the pan, but this time I'm actually going to finish cooking it in the oven so I can use the pan for the rest of the meal. I'm lining my pan with foil because I've used cooking spray in the past on my sheet pans, and honestly they just stick to everything, so foil just makes it that much easier. I had previously set my oven to 400 degrees to preheat, so now that it's ready, I'm just going to pop in my chicken. Since the chicken is already partially cooked, it should only take about 10 to 15 more minutes. I do use the same pan that I cooked the chicken in to saute the onions and the pineapples because that's going to give it some really, really good flavor. Now this will take a little bit of time for the onions to caramelize, but once they turn brown, that's when I'm going to be adding in the pineapple chunks to make the rest of the sauce. Now this will cook down for about 5 more minutes, just enough time for the onions to soften a bit more and get a little bit more translucent, and for the pineapples to release all those delicious juices, and then it's done and we are ready to start plating. The chicken should also be done at this point with nice crispy skin on top, so I'm just going to take it out of the oven. Now I can't forget my favorite step, which is to put 2 to 3 tablespoons of coconut oil into the rice, which I really feel ties the whole dish together. I've added about 2 scoops of rice to each plate, and now I'm just going to add in a piece of chicken for each one, as well as a few heaping scoops of the pineapple and onion mixture. Now this last bit is completely optional, but you can add in a little bit of cilantro to your dish for an extra kick of flavor. I know some people can't eat cilantro, so adding it is totally up to you. And there you have it. Lazy Hawaiian dinner. Well, that's it for today's video, guys. I really hope that you enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments if you tried this recipe or if you have something similar that is just your go-to, because I know with this meal that I put it on the table and my husband's going to eat it up. So don't forget to like and subscribe if you want to see more of my content, and I hope to see you again. Have a great day.